Hello and welcome, my dearest buddy. There comes a point in every chosen life when the tale changes, not in secret, but in front of people who believe they had you figured out. And that is precisely where you are. You've been turning up discreetly, performing tasks that no one understands and carrying things that others can't even identify. And now heaven has made its decision. It's time to raise the curtain. The following season isn't about staying concealed. It's about to be unveiled. Not with ego or drama, but with indisputable facts. Because while people were looking at the surface, God was creating something they could never anticipate underneath it. And now the fruit is appearing. This isn't just about rewards. It is about redemption in real time. You did not construct your life in public. You constructed it in times that no one witnessed. The evenings you choose integrity above immediate gain. In the mornings you got up, even when anguish made your bones feel like concrete. You walked away from those talks not because you were afraid, but because you knew you were capable of more than cheap turmoil. You have been committed to the unseen, and now the apparent is catching up. You didn't ask for a spotlight, yet one is coming because your obedience can no longer be overlooked. A person who is not rushed to show themselves has a distinct radiance, a weight, a quiet, a frequency that indicates that I've already been authorized someplace above. And that is what is puzzling people right now, because you did not network your way into this. You did not advocate for recognition. You did not transform yourself into someone more appealing. You simply remained faithful and remained planted. And God witnessed every second of it. They saw someone mediocre. God saw a vessel. They saw someone behind God, someone growing. And now the two timelines, what humanity saw and what God knew, are set to clash in public. Your name is entering rooms you've never been to before. Not because of visibility, but because of credibility, spiritual credibility, soul maturity, legacy level, and resilience. You did not get here by being charming. You arrived here after being selected. And no algorithm can explain this. God isn't attempting to repay you. God is showing what was never lost, just grown under hardship. This next breakthrough is more than simply a prize. It's a revelation of all you planned while others misjudged you. A disclosure of every task you completed without anybody celebrating. A revelation of the meaning behind your silence. Because many misinterpreted your quiet as absence. However, it was real alignment. Everything that seemed to be stationary will now begin to move, but not in a chaotic, hurried manner, but in a way that indicates this has been earned. And heaven agrees. They can't figure out how you got here since you didn't use any tricks. You did not pursue a platform, therefore they cannot claim credit for your success. You did not get ahead of divine time, so the coming will be obvious. Prepare for the weird turnaround. People who formerly had influence over your name must now watch it rise without their approval. And you won't have to say anything since the elevation will speak louder than any post, proof, or explanation. This is a public moment, but it does not need public acceptance. It is for God's display. So take a breath. You are neither late or behind. You are not being neglected. You are being exposed. When it occurs, it will be so obvious that even those who did not believe in you would wonder how they missed what was there in front of them the whole time. Be prepared, for God is preparing to bless you in public. Not for attention, but as a symbol. An indication that heaven has eyes. An indication of honesty is shown. An indication that you were always qualified. You were just waiting for the unveiling. And now it starts. Allow them to speak. Because they will. When heaven begins to provide proof for your obedience, people begin to seek answers that restore their sense of safety. But they can't explain it. Not because it's too mysterious, but because they never recognized it in the first place. God did not include them, and now they are experiencing a surge. They did not co-sign. That's what worries them. Because while they were busy measuring fruit, God was growing your roots. You weren't expanding outward. You were moving downhill. Things are beginning to settle down, getting stronger, eliminating distractions. And now, the secret mechanism is yielding apparent proof. You succumbed rather than strategized. You did not rush into this moment. You remained silent when it would have been easy to speak out. You donated when you were completely empty. You served without being noticed. You liked folks who didn't believe you deserved a decent farewell. Throughout it all, you remained close to the whisper. So, what is happening now? The whisper is becoming a wave. And the wave? It is taking your name farther beyond anything you could have achieved through your own efforts. This is the kind of reward that stems from soul integrity, not perfection. Alignment, not appearance or content. The next phase is not about becoming found. It is about being confirmed. Confirmed in the presence of others who silently questioned your method. Confirmed without having to clap back or prove them incorrect. Confirmed in a manner that even they had to admit. This must be God, because it is. This is not a promotional event. It's a prophetic message. And prophetic times are worth more than simply our attention. Wait, the sort that makes you walk differently. Think differently. Choose something different. Because once you've been granted heavenly visibility, you cease seeking affirmation from temporal places. You're no longer willing to be tolerated. You no longer exaggerate what God has already made obvious. And this is what they don't grasp. God does not just trust you to endure the secret season. He trusted that you would not modify it. He believed that you would remain kind when resentment knocked, that you would stay rooted when the tide of comparison pushed hard, and that you would not trade your soul for faster development. And now the prize isn't just access, but authority, the sort that speaks once and changes the mood, the kind that transforms rooms you go into altars because others can sense what you've carried, what you've suffered, and what you refuse to give up on. Nobody has to comprehend it for it to be yours. This is not a collective vote. It is a heavenly verdict. You were authorized where it counted the most. Not during their talks, but in God's choice. God's choices reveal openly what He observed secretly. So, certainly, the incentive will be apparent. It will be felt not just by you, but by everyone who followed your progress and didn't believe it would amount to anything. This is the kind of gift that answers questions you didn't even get to ask aloud. It replies, was it worthwhile? Has anybody seen? Did God really advise me to remain when I wanted to run? Was that it? Yes. Really? For something? Yes. All of it. Every hard decision. Every humble act of faith, holy number, and delicate heart you maintained while the world told you to harden yourself. God saw it. And now God says it's time. They see it too. But not simply for your vindication. Someone else is watching and thinking whether honesty is still important. If purity still has its place. If walking slowly with God is still worthwhile in a society that values speed above substance. When they watch you rising, they will believe again. That is also a prize. You aren't merely being lifted. You're demonstrating that obedience opens doors. No algorithm can. That spiritual harmony generates outcomes. No resume explains that what you have is not hype. It is sacred. So, as you travel ahead, walk with understanding. You aren't only being seen. You're being entrusted once again. Not because you're louder, but because you are genuine. Not because you are flawless, but because you remained. Heaven always praises those who remained. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If this message resonated with you, please like it, share it with someone who could benefit, and subscribe to remain in touch. Continue your awakening journey by selecting one of the videos on your screen that speaks to you the most. See you there.